Thank you for your patience. We're about to get started. How many of you are familiar with To Kill a Mockingbird, this story? Anybody heard about it before? Okay, great. So buckle up, folks. It's going to be a wild ride. We are going to have an intermission about halfway through. It's going to run about 2 hours. You guys know where the bathrooms are down the hall that way. Okay? Good. So do your best to try to keep your attention on what's happening on the stage. If you need to take pictures, try to do it in a way that is not going to distract people around you. And obviously, you can silence your cell phones now. Thank you. Without any further ado, To Kill a Mockingbird.
They called me Scout. You hear me, Scout? I'm watching for Atticus. Atticus. That's my father. Back then he seemed ancient, feeble. He was a lawyer nearly 50. When my brother Jen asked him why he was so old, he said it was because he got started late, which we thought reflected on his manliness. He was much older than the parents of our school contemporaries, and there was nothing Jen or I could say about him.
Because he doesn't do anything. Atticus doesn't drive a dump truck for the county. He isn't sheriff. He doesn't farm or work in a garage. Other fathers go hunting, play poker, or fish. Atticus works in an office. He reads.
With those attributes, however, Atticus did not remain as inconspicuous as Jeremiah may have wished. He certainly did not.
Hey, Scout, how come your daddy defends Negroes? Scout's daddy defends Negroes.
You gonna take that back?
Make me. My folks say your daddy's a disgrace and that boy ought to hang from the water tank.
You take that back, boy!
Make me, try and make me.
Scout, you come inside this instant.
I said I wasn't ready.
It was Macomb, Alabama, and it was 1935. Back when I was that girl. Back at the beginning of an experience when ugly words were first shouted at us. An experience that brought a man to his death. It brought Boo Radley storming out of that shut-up house. The attack on me. Jem's arm broken. Another man killed. But that's not what I want to remember. That's not why my mind's gone back here. There's something else. Something my father wanted. I think enough years have gone by. Enough so that I could look back. Maybe even enough so that I could do the one thing my father asked. No, there was one other thing. When Atticus first gave us our air rifles, he asked us never to kill a mockingbird.
Your father's right. Mockingbirds just make music. They don't eat up people's gardens, don't nest in corn cribs. You know why? They don't do one thing, but sing their hearts out. That's why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird.
Miss Molly, this is an old neighborhood, ain't it?
Been here longer than the town.
No, I mean the folks are all old. Jem and me is the only children, and Mrs. DeBose is close to 100, and you're old, and Miss Cropper's old, and Atticus, and...
I'm not being wheeled around yet, and neither's your father. You're lucky you and Jem have the advantage of your father's age. Why, if your father was 30, you'd find life quite different.
I sure would. Atticus can't do anything.
You'd be surprised. There's life in him yet.
Well, what can he do?
Quite a lot. Why, it seems to me, I'm proud of him.
Why? The way some folks are starting to go on, you'd think he'd be running as still. I have to speak to him.
We lived over there. Atticus, my brother Jen, and Calpurnia, our cook, who raised us. Calpurnia was all angles and bones.
Scout, you come in and get washed up before your father gets home.
I said I wasn't ready.
Your brother's already in and washed. Why can't you behave as well as Jim?
Because he's older than me, and you know it.
Come on.
Calpurnia's hand was as hard as a bed slab. My mother died when I was 2, so I never felt her absence. But I felt Calpurnia's tyrannical presence as long as I could remember.
The water's too hot.
Keep scrubbing.
Even in 1935, Macomb, Alabama was already a tired old town. In rainy weather, the streets turned to red slop. Grass grew on the sidewalk. The courthouse sagged in the square. That's High Tate, the sheriff, and Judge Taylor.
Atticus! You home?
Not yet, Mr. Tate. Afternoon, Judge Taylor. Afternoon.
Well, Count, tell me we're passing by.
You want him to call?
No, it's okay.
We'll be seeing him anyway.
People moved slowly then. Somehow it was hotter. A day was 24 hours long, but it seemed longer. There was no hurry, so there was nowhere to go. Nothing to buy, no money to buy it with.
Lack of money is no excuse to let a place go like that. At least they could cut the Johnson grass and rabbit tobacco. But of course, they're the rallies.
Miss Stephanie Crawford, neighborhood scold. According to her, everybody in Macomb had a streak. A drinking streak, a gambling streak, a mean streak, a funny streak.
No Atkinson minds his own business. Every third Meriwether's morbid. The truth is known the Delafields. All the Buffords walk like that. If Miss Grace sips gin out of Lydia E. Pinkham bottles, it's nothing unusual. Her mother did the same.
She was also our principal source of information on Boo Radley.
When that boy was in his teens, he took up with some battles from Old Sarah. They were arrested on charges of disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace, assault and battery, and using abusive and profane language in the presence and hearing of a female. Boo Radley was then released to his father, who shut him up in that house and wasn't seen again for 15 years.
I'd have to ask, as she intended. Miss Stephanie, what happened 15 years later?
Well, Boo Radley was sitting in his living room cutting up some items from the May Tribune to paste in his scrapbook. As his father passed by, Boo drove the scissors into his parents' leg, pulled them out, wiped them on his pants, and resumed his activities. Boo Radley was then 33, but Mr. Radley said no Radley was going to any insane asylum. So he was kept home, where he is, till this day.
How do you know? How can you be sure he's still there?
I haven't seen him carried out yet.
Jem and I had never seen him. That didn't come until later, and when it did, we were in no condition to take much notice, being in fear for our lives. People said Boo Radley came out when the moon was down. When azaleas froze in a cold snap, it was because he breathed on them. The tall Radley pecan tree shook its fruit into the adjoining schoolyard out back, but the nuts lay untouched. Radley pecans would kill you. A baseball hit into the Radley yard was a lost ball. No questions asked. My brother Jem, before the fight when he got his arm broken. Alabama must be playing the Rose Bowl, with Jem scoring the winning touchdown.
Where are you going this time of day, Jeremy Finch? Playing hooky, I suppose? Well, I'll just call up the principal and tell him.
On Saturday, Mrs. DuBose.
I wonder if your father knows where you are.
Of course he does.
Marty Atkinson told me you broke down her scuppernong arbor this morning. She's gonna tell your father, and then you'll wish you'd never seen the light of day.
I haven't been near her scuppernong.
Don't you contradict me. If you aren't sent to the reform school before next week, then my name's not DuBose.
Miss Henry Lafayette DuBose. If she was on the Fortune Gemini path, we'd be raked by her wrathful gaze, subject to ruthless interrogation, and given a melancholy prediction on what we'd amount to when we grew up, which was always nothing. Jem and I hated her. We had no idea she was fighting a hard battle.
Miss Cow.
Reverend Sykes of the First Purchase Church, called First Purchase because it was paid for by the first earnings of the freed slaves.
Afternoon, Reverend.
It's about Brother Tom Robinson's struggles. We have to do more for his wife and children.
Yes, Reverend.
The lecture for the next 3 Sundays will go to Helen. Please encourage everyone to bring what they can.
Why are you taking up a collection for Tom Robinson's wife?
Tell you the truth, Miss Jean Louise, Helen's finding it hard to get work these days.
I know Tom Robinson's done something awful, but why won't folks hire Helen?
They aren't anxious to have anything to do with his family.
I told you, stay out of town right now, you hear?
Yes, Pop.
And then the Finches, stay away from them.
Bob, his daughter Mayella. No truant officer could keep the Yules in school. No public health officer could keep them free of filth and disease. Good times or bad, they lived off the county, in a cabin by the garbage dump near a small Negro settlement. And all Bob Yule could hold on to that made him feel better than his nearest neighbor was that if he scrubbed with lye soap in very hot water, his skin was white.
Why'd you stop talking? Those are just the Yules.
Remembering it now, I'm not surprised they stopped talking.
I have a lot of calls to make. Goodbye, Mr. Louise. See you Sunday, Miss Cobb.
Bye.
Reverend.
Yes, Cap?
I'm worried, Reverend. The Lord is always watching. I know he is. Sometimes I get the feeling that's all he does.
Miss Calpurnia, I ain't know who to doubt your faith.
No, sir. But you and I both know you can't sweep the sides off his either.
Nor do the stars shine in the afternoon, but that don't mean they ain't there. Sometimes. We just have to wait.
Yes, Reverend.
40 days and 40 nights, Cap.
Try telling that to Tom.
I already have. See you Sunday.
How? What did Tom Robinson do?
I mean, what did they say he did? Oh, Mr. Bob Yule accused Tom of attacking his wife and shut him up in jail.
But everybody in Macomb knows the Yules. You'd think folks would be glad to hire Tom's wife.
That's what you'd think.
What does it mean he attacked her?
You'll have to ask Mr. Finch about that. You hungry?
I have to speak to Atticus. Oh, look! There's Dill!
That was the summer Dill came to us. Dill was to give us the idea of making Boo Radley come out. We came to know Dill as a pocket merlin whose head teemed with eccentric plans, strange longings, and quaint fancies. He was to be my childhood fiancé, which was nice for a girl, even if he wasn't very big.
I'm little, but I'm old. You working for your father?
That's about right. What about your dad?
What do you mean?
You never say anything about him.
Because I haven't got one.
Is he dead?
No?
Then, if he isn't dead, you've got one, haven't you?
Never mind her, Dill.
How can he say he doesn't have a father if his father isn't dead?
Scout.
Looking back for a place to begin, perhaps it would be what happens next.
Boo Radley's in there all by himself.
Wonder what he does. Looks like he's sticking his head out sometime.
He goes out when it's pitch dark. I've seen his tracks in our backyard many a morning, and one night I heard him scratching on the back screen.
Wonder what he looks like.
Judging from his tracks, he's about 6.5 feet tall. He eats raw squirrels and any cats he can catch. What teeth he has are yellow and rotten. His eyes pop, and most of the time, he drools.
Let's get him to come out.
Make Boo Radley come out!
If you want to get yourself killed, all you do is go up and knock on that door.
You're scared. Too scared to put your big toe in the front yard.
Ain't scared, just respectful.
I dare you.
You dare me?
Don't go near it, Jem.
You're gonna run out on a dare.
Let me think a minute.
Just touch the house. I dare you.
Touch the house, that's all.
He'll probably come out after you, then Scout me will jump on him, pull him down, tell him we should have a look at him. Well,
Don't hurry me.
Scout me's right behind you. Folks right from home aren't so scared. I've never seen so.
So there.
Someone in the window. Look.
He was watching. He saw me.
Don't ever do that again. If you get killed when Atticus is already so old, what would become of me?
Where'd you get the chewing gum?
Stick it in the mouth hole.
That tree, spit it out right now.
I was just getting the flavor.
Suppose Boo Radley put it there. Suppose it's poison. You go gargle.
It take the taste out of my mouth.
Let's throw a pebble against the door of the Radley house. And then, as soon as he sticks his tail out, tell him to buy him an ice cream. That'll seem friendly. Maybe if he came out and stabbed both of us, you'd feel better.
How do you know you don't feel good now?
How'd you feel if you've been shut up 100 years with but cats eat? Of course, you'd rather that I throw the pebble.
Better leave it to me. How many times do I have to tell you?
Maybe you might have been touched it, but...
You're not going to throw a stone at the Radley house.
Guess I just have to keep on showing you.
Jem?
Your father!
Atticus!
Just what were you about to do, Jem?
Sir,
I don't want any of that, tell me.
I was gonna throw a pebble to get Boo Radley to come out.
Why?
Because, sir, we thought he might enjoy us.
Son, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to tell you one time. Do not bother that man.
But why doesn't he ever?
What Mr. Radley does is his own business. If he wants to stay inside his own house, he has the right to stay inside, free from the attention of inquisitive children. Well, how would you two like it if I came into your rooms at night without knocking?
That's different.
Is it?
We're not crazy.
What Mr. Radley does may seem peculiar to us. It does not seem peculiar to him.
Anyone who stays inside all the time
But
will
that's
never...
his decision, Jem. There's something I'd like to ask of you. If you'll do it, I think you'll find you'll get along better with people of all kinds.
Sir?
See, you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view. Until you climb into his skin and walk around in it.
You want us to consider things from Boo Radley's point of
He
view.
means everyone.
You stay out of this.
Well, Dill's right, but I expect I'm asking too much. Oh, Walter Cunningham.
I got a much better plan. See ya.
Regardless of any plans, you two are to stay away from that house unless invited. Afternoon, Walter.
Neither for you, Mr. Finch. Turner Freeze.
Why, thank you.
I'd like to pay cash for your services between the entailment and the mortgage.
This is just fine. Jem, will you please take this to Cal? I'd say your bill is settled, Walter.
You've put in a lot of time.
Well, let's see. First, you left a load of stove wood in the backyard, and then a sack of hickory nuts. And at Christmas, there was a crate of smilax and holly, and now a bag of turnip greens. I'm more than paid.
If you say so.
Your boys in my class at school, Mr. Cunningham. We got in a disagreement the other day.
I have a few with that boy myself, little lady.
I didn't actually beat him up that bad, though.
If he can't defend himself against a girl, then I guess he'll just have to take it. Would you oblige, Mr. Finch?
Anytime I can be of help.
Why does he pay in wood, stove, and turnip greens?
Because that's the only way he can.
Are we poor, Atticus?
Yes, we are.
As poor as the Cunninghams?
Well, not quite. Cunninghams are country folk, and the depression hits them hardest. What was your trouble with my client's boy?
He said some things I didn't like. I rubbed his nose in the dirt.
That is not very ladylike. What did he say?
Things. And I think we should have a talk. I've been watching for you to come
Atticus,
at us.
catch!
Oh, hold on to it, son. Not today.
Atticus, will you be going out for the Methodists for the football game?
What game?
It's not until fall, but everyone's talking about it already. Baptists challenged the Methodists to a game of touch football. It's for fundraising.
I'm afraid I wouldn't be of much help, Jem.
Everybody in town's father is playing.
Except yours.
Every other father.
I'd break my neck.
It's touch.
Jem, I'm too old for that sort of thing.
Atticus, will you be able to show Scout and me how to use our air rifles later, I mean?
I told you you'll have to wait for your Uncle Jack. But he'll really show you.
Can't you show us?
Jem, I'm not interested in guns.
He's not interested in anything.
Great. Now I have to go chase after him. Jem, why do folks slow down as they go past?
What folks?
Yonder's some big shit. David's children. For all he cares, blast them run loose and tear up the countryside.
Why is everybody...
Because that's the way they are.
But why?
I have to get my football.
Did someone call?
I've been meaning to ask. Atticus, do you defend Negroes?
Of course I do.
Do all lawyers defend Negroes?
They do.
Then why do the kids at school make it sound like you're doing something awful?
You aren't old enough to understand some things yet, Scout, but there's been a lot of high talk around town that I shouldn't do much about defending Tom Robinson. But I am going to defend that man.
If they say you shouldn't, why are you doing it?
Well, the main reason, if I didn't, I couldn't hold my head up anymore. I couldn't even ask you or Jem not to do something again.
You mean Jem and he wouldn't have to mind you no more?
Is that right?
Why?
Because I couldn't ask you to mind me. Every lawyer gets one case in his lifetime that affects him personally. This was mine, I guess.
Are we going to win it?
No.
Then why?
Simply because we were licked 100 years before we started is no reason not to try to win.
You sound like some old Confederate veteran.
Only this time we aren't fighting Yankees, we're fighting our friends. But remember, no matter how bitter things get, these people are still our friends and this place is still our home.
Tom Robinson thing must be pretty important.
It goes to the essence of a man's conscience.
Suppose you're wrong about it.
Well, how's that?
Well, most people think that they're right and you're wrong.
father was more complex than we realized. Certainly this new aspect of his legal practice was more promising than doing papers in an office. I found my brother unresponsive. Probably the Tom Robinson case wasn't quite as new to him as it was to me. Thinking about it now, probably it was abuse from older boys that made Jem so eager to involve our father in sensible community activities, like a game of touch football. All such invitations were politely declined. Then a few weeks later, something happened. Something that made our father even more of a puzzle. The tension in town about the approaching trial was drum tight, but what happened had nothing to do with that. It had to do with a liver-colored bird dog named Tim.
Why do I have to come home?
Because I tell you, that little dog from down yonder is sick. Cal, can you come out a minute?
It's only Tim. He's got lopsided. That's all.
What is it, Jim? I can't come out every time we want.
Something wrong with that old dog down yonder.
I can rub up any old dog's foot right now.
He's sick, Cal. Something's wrong with him.
Trying to catch his tail?
No, he's doing like this.
You telling me a story, Jim Finch.
No, he's coming this way.
Running?
Just mosey, walking funny.
You two get inside the house. I'll talk to help. Operator, Miss Eula Mayman. It's me, California. Please, give me Mr. Finch's office right away. Hey, Mr. Finch, this is Cal. There's a mad dog down the street of East. Jim says he's coming this way. Please, ma'am, hurry.
What's that to say?
In a minute. I'm through talking to... Yeah. Yes, I know you're busy, but I'm through talking to Mr. Finch. Listen, can you call to anyone on the street who's got a phone and let them know Mad Dog's coming? Please?
What about the Bradleys? They got a phone.
They wouldn't come out anyway.
Maybe Nathan. I better call
No,
them.
no.
I just want to shout to Bradley.
No. Mr. Boo, don't come outside. Don't come outside. Mad Dog, you hear me? Don't come out. Get inside.
There he is, Cal.
Please come soon, Mr. Finch.
We assumed Atticus would turn to competent authority to handle this dangerous situation, and our assumption was to prove correct. When he arrived, he was accompanied by the sheriff.
Atticus, he's over
Stay
there.
on the porch, son.
Back behind the Radley concrete.
He's not running, is he, Cal?
No, he's in the cushion stage, Mr. Heck.
They usually go in a straight line, but you never can tell.
The slope will probably bring it back up onto the road.
I thought Mad Dog stuffed in your mouth and found in the road.
Hush.
He's got it all right, Mr. Finch.
He just looks sick.
Is he looking for a place to die, Mr. Heck?
Not yet, Jim. He hasn't even gotten started dying.
He's within range, Heck. You better get him before he goes down a side street. Lord knows he's around the corner. Cal, please get the kids inside.
If he gets any closer,
I don't know until he goes in.
I want to watch the sheriff.
It was right then the most astonishing thing happened.
You take it, Mr. Finch. You do it.
Don't just stand there, Heck.
This is a one-shot job.
Don't waste time.
Look where he is, goddammit. I can't shoot that well, and you know it.
But I haven't shot a gun in 30 years.
Well, I feel mighty comfortable if you did so now.
Jem and I were in a fog, watching our father standing in the street with a rifle. Others were watching too, but we didn't know it then. It didn't make any sense at all. It was utterly beyond belief.
Sweet Jesus, help him.
You got him. You got him, Mr. Finch.
Little to the right. Have my druthers, I take a shotgun.
Well, looks like he's dead as a doornail. You're right, just a little to the right.
Always was.
Well, I'll have someone come down in a pickup and take him away.
You can stay on the porch.
Atticus?
What, son?
I didn't know.
I saw that one-shot Finch.
You know, they say it never leaves you. You haven't forgotten much, Mr. Finch.
Jem, you and your sister stay away from that dog. He is just as dangerous dead as alive.
Yes, sir. Atticus?
What, son?
What's the matter, boy? Can't talk? You didn't know that your daddy was...
Hush, Heck. Let's get back to town.
What's your hurry? You gonna start writing some speeches for the trial?
Don't remind me.
Maybe Tim wasn't really mad. Maybe he was just full of fleas, and Atticus Finch shot him dead.
If that Tim was looking up the street, I think he'd be singing a different tune.
Maybe I would. I'll be honest, I felt safer when I saw Atticus take the rifle.
Did you see him, Scout? All of a sudden, it looked like that gun was a part of it. And he did it so quick, I have to aim for 10 minutes before I can hit something.
Well, now, Miss Jean Louise, still think your father can't do anything? Still ashamed of him?
No, ma'am.
Forgot to mention the other day that he is the deadest shot in Macon County.
Dead shot?
Something for you to think about, Jem Finch. Why, when your father was a boy, we used to call him old one shot. If he shot 15 times and hit 14 ducks, he would complain about wasting ammunition.
But he never said anything about it.
Wonder why he never goes hunting now.
Marksmanship like that's a gift to God. I think maybe he put his gun down when he realized God had just given him an unfair advantage.
Looks like he'd be proud of it.
People like your father never bother about pride in their gifts, Miss Jean Louise.
This bewildering event unsettled our established view of Atticus. It was something to talk over. No, to celebrate. But we didn't get far.
Well, I have something to tell about school on Monday.
Don't know if we should say anything about it.
I'd like to find that Canadian boy right now. Ain't everybody's daddy the deadest shot in Macon?
I reckon if he'd wanted us to know, he'd have told us.
Maybe it just slipped his mind.
No, it's something you wouldn't understand. But we know. We don't have to talk about it any more than he does. And I don't care if he's 100 years old.
Hey, Mr. Buzz, did you see my
Don't
father?
you say hey to me, you ugly girl. You say good afternoon, Mrs. DeBose.
In point of fact, Jem and I didn't reach the end of the street before we'd been slapped down again about our father.
You should be in a dressing camisole, young lady. If someone doesn't soon change your ways, you'll grow up waiting tables. A Finch waiting tables at the OK Cafe? Ha!
I was terrified. The OK Cafe was a dim organization at the edge of town. We still didn't really know what was the matter with Mr. Bose, but that's part of what Atticus wanted us to do. Part of why I'm trying to remember it all now.
Come on, Scout, just hold your head high. Be a gentleman.
A lovelier lady than your mother never lived. It's shocking the way Atticus Finch lets her children run wild.
I'm with you.
We'll keep walking.
Not only at Finch waiting tables, but one in the courtrooms lying for Negroes.
Come on, Jem.
What's this world come to with the Finches going against their raising? Your father's no better than the trash he works for.
I'll fix her.
No, Jem.
She has no right.
No.
I'm sick and tired of everybody.
Jem,
Just 'cause Atticus.
stop, Jem.
God.
No.
Just go home. Stay out.
No, Jem.
Please, Scout.
Jem's out of control. He's knocking the tops off of every camellia bush Mrs. DeBose owns.
But I thought Jem has so views.
Not anymore. He's gone crazy.
From people saying things about your father.
Yeah, Mrs. DeBose, she... How did you know? We found something out about Atticus today. Something special.
About time.
He's the deadest shot in Macon.
That's what you found out?
It's the truth, so it doesn't matter what folks say.
Wouldn't matter anyway.
What are you doing here? I thought you'd been taken back to your folks in the Meridian.
I was.
Then how in the Sam
It's, you see,
You're all mussed and dusty.
of course I am. See, I got a new father. He doesn't like me. So had me chained up in the basement and left me to die. But I was secretly kept alive on raw field beans by a peasant farmer who were my cries for help.
If you were chained up in the
The
basement,
good man poked a bushel of beans to me, pod by pod, through the ventilator.
lucky for you, that good man was just passing.
I worked myself free, pulling the chain from the walls and still in wrist iron, wandered out of Meridian. So I found a small ammo show where they hired me to wash the camel.
How do you go about washing?
I traveled all over with that show, everywhere. This was my sense of direction until I was just across the river from Macon. What I did then
How
was...
did you get here, Dill?
Hey, Jen.
Jim, what did you...
I was talking to Dill.
I took $13 from my mother's purse, caught the 9 o'clock train from Meridian to the next junction, walked the rest of the way.
Why'd you run off?
Didn't run off, just so I come back here, that's all.
You want to stay with your Aunt Rachel?
I want to stay here.
With us?
We're gonna have a hot summer.
I don't care.
Maybe you better come back later.
I'm not going.
Hey, Atticus, we have a visitor. Here's Dill. He came back from the Meridian, and he knows how to wash a camel.
Dill.
Sir.
Jem, I had a phone call a few minutes ago. Are you responsible for the damage to those flowers?
Yes, sir.
Why would you do that?
Because Mrs. DeBose said you love for Negroes.
And that's why you destroyed her garden?
Yes, sir.
Son, I have no doubt you've been annoyed by your contemporaries about me lying for Negroes, as you say. But to do that to a sick old lady is inexcusable. I strongly advise you to go over there and have a talk with Mrs. Dubose.
Talk to her.
Right now, Jack.
But-
Go on.
Fine, I'll talk to her.
And come straight home afterwards.
All he was doing.
Scout. Never thought Jem would be the one to lose his head. But I have more trouble with you.
Why do we have to keep our heads anyway? Nobody at school has to keep theirs about anything.
And you'll soon have to be keeping your head about far worse things. Your Aunt Rachel didn't mention you were coming back, Dill.
She doesn't know.
Please, sir, don't tell her I'm here.
Don't tell her.
He's been living on raw beans.
Please, sir, just don't make me go back.
Well, just let me get this straight.
If you make me go back, I'll just run away again.
Whoa, what? Well, let me do a little telephoning. I'll ask if you can stay for tonight, perhaps a few days.
Would you, sir?
And maybe Scout can get you something to go with the raw beans.
Oh, I'm fine, sir. Not hungry at all.
I think you'd be starving. Was your father really hateful, like you said?
It's not that. They just wasn't interested in me.
You're not telling me right. Your folks can go without you.
Yes, they can. They get on a lot better without me. They stay gone most of the time, and when they're home, I can't help them any. They're not mean. They buy me anything I want. It's just, now I gotta go play with it.
Why, they must need you. Atticus couldn't go a day without my help and advice.
See, that's what's special about your father. It's not that he's
He
a
made
dentist.
Jem go talk to Mrs. DeBose.
Don't you see why he did that?
It's his way.
And Jim will be all right. If I could just stay for a few days, I got a new plan for bringing out Boo Radley.
Why do you reckon Boo Radley's never run off?
Maybe he doesn't have anywhere to run off to. For my plan, I need a box of lemon drops. I'll put one just outside his door and roll him down the street. When he thinks he's safe, he'll pick up lemon drop. And another, he'll foam like an ant. And another, then
That's a lot of lemon drops.
we're fooling, sir.
You have been the subject of considerable conversation.
What Aunt Rachel said.
Well, first it came under the heading of, just wait until they get you home. Then it was, his folks must be out of their minds worrying. She went on to say that's all the Harris in him coming out. And ended with, reckon you can stay on for tonight anyways.
Hey, hear that?
But then I thought I should speak to your parents as well, so I called them.
What'd they say?
Couldn't have been more agreeable. They say you can stay on for as long as you're not in the way.
Great! Isn't that great?
Sure is. Guess you're looking all over Meridian for me.
Not quite. They thought you're probably stuck at some picture show.
Generally, they'd be right too.
We'll be going through quite a difficult time, Dill. It'll be good to have you here.
Do you mean?
It'll be a help having you here. There's a cot in Jem's room.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye, Dill. See you later.
Bye.
Mrs. Finch,
What is it, Hex?
I think we should speak out here. They moved Tom Robinson to the county jail this afternoon. I don't look for trouble, but I can't say there won't be any.
Don't be foolish, Heckuses make them.
I'm just worried, that's all. You know, it's that old Sarah bunch.
Well, I don't think anybody would begrudge me a client with times this hard when you can help hold him in the jail till then.
You know how they all get shinnied up.
Drinking?
They could be. Atticus, I don't see why you touch this case. You have everything to lose.
You really believe that?
I really mean it, Mr. Finch. Everything.
Heck, that boy might go to the chair. But he is not going until the truth is told. And you and I know, we both know what the truth is.
All right, Atticus. Just thought I'd keep you informed.
Thank you, Heck.
Take care of yourself.
Well, son,
So we're gonna work on his garden and try to make it grow back. Said I was sorry, but I'm not.
There's no point saying you're sorry if you aren't.
What about what she said?
She's old and she's ill. I have work.
Atticus, she wants me to come over every afternoon and read out loud for 2 hours. Do I have to?
Yes, you do.
But her house is so dark and creepy and there's shadows on the ceiling.
Well, that should appeal to your imagination. Just imagine you're inside the Radley house.
He's sure in a peculiar mood. What did Heck take on?
Death and politics.
Don't be silly. All they did was they moved Tom Robinson to the Macon jailhouse.
Father was saying it's there for a few days. He said there's a cot in your room.
What do you have to read to Mrs. DeBose?
I don't know. Why would she want me to read out loud?
Seems like your father was surprised.
Why wouldn't he be surprised?
Ask him.
Ask me what?
Nothing?
Well, you folks will probably be in bed by the time I get back, so I will say good night now.
Where are you going?
Out. You might help Ernie.
What are you doing with a chair and a light bulb?
I might have use for them. Look after things, Cal.
Where's he going? Where's he going?
I can make a guess, only I won't. Almost time for dinner. You forget wash.
I really need a wash.
That's the main thing Cal thinks about. Why wouldn't she make a guess?
Why was Atticus taking a chair and a light bulb? What else was Heck saying to Atticus?
That evening, Phil and Alphonse only heard of the conversation in the yard, and Jem thought about it. He hardly said a word through supper. Then later, he told us he was going downtown. I decided I was coming too, and then there was no stopping Dill. We crept past Miss DuBose's house, the Radley place, and onto the town square. It was deserted. We thought Atticus was probably in his office, so we went over. But he wasn't there. We were getting uneasy. We went back around the courthouse, and when we did, we noticed something peculiar. There was a light on above the door to the jail.
There he is.
Well, let's...
No, Scout.
I just want to ask why he's sitting in front of the jailhouse.
Maybe we shouldn't bother him right now.
But
It's getting late.
after all this running around town, we might at least try. He can't hear me.
No, listen.
It's cars. A lot of cars coming.
I wonder what...
What's happening?
So many.
Get down. We'll get down in a moment.
Oh, hey there, Mr. Finch. Is he in there?
He is, and he's asleep. Don't wake him.
You know what we want, Mr. Finch. Step out of the way.
You can turn around and go home again, Walter.
Won't do that.
Might as well. I have Tate's around here somewhere.
The hell he is?
Heck's bunch is so deep in the woods they won't be out till morning.
Indeed, why so?
Set him out on a snipe hunt.
Didn't you think of that, Mr. Finch?
Thought about it, didn't believe it.
Guess that changes things.
Oh, yes, it do.
Do you really think so?
Do you really think so? Was a dangerous question from Atticus. I decided he was about to deal with somebody. This was too good to miss.
I'm gonna see it.
No, Scout.
Hey, Atticus. Scout.
Sorry, I couldn't hang on there.
Jem, Tate, Scout and Dylan, go home.
Will you be coming with us, sir?
Go home now.
I'll send him home.
Don't you touch him.
Little do Scout.
But he
Don't kick folks.
Nobody gonna do Jem that way.
Get him out of here, Mr. Finch.
Give you 15 seconds.
I ain't going.
Jem, please.
No, sir.
Come on, get him out of here, Mr. Finch.
Get him out of the way.
Mr. Cunningham? Mr. Cunningham, that's you? I'm Jean Louise Finch. You brought us a bag of turnip greens, remember? I go to school with your boy, Walter. Well, he your boy, ain't he? Knew he was your boy. Maybe he told you about me. Because I beat him up that one time. But he was real nice about it. Tell Walter hey for me, won't you? Your father was telling me about your internment. He said they're bad. Atticus, I was just telling Mr. Cunningham internments are bad. But I remember you said try not to worry about it. It will all ride out together. What's the matter? Mr. Cunningham, what's going on?
Ain't nothing the matter, little lady. And I'll tell my boy you said hey. Let's roll out, boys. We're going home. He ain't going nowhere.
They're gone.
We'll be back.
What's that way?
I want to go home.
Go home now. Make it sure for you, Mr. Finch?
Yes, thank you, Dill.
Mr. Finch,
Yes, Tom.
they gone?
They're gone, Tom. They won't bother.
Thank you, Mr. Finch.
We're going to have a very busy time, Tom. You better get your sleep.
You too, Mr. Finch.
I intend to.
Mr. Finch, I'd like to thank you. I know this ain't no easy case.
Nonsense, Tom. You are innocent, and I will make sure that the jury knows that. You just have to trust the system.
Mr. Finch, the system ain't built for folk like me. I just want to see my family, my children, Mr. Finch. The system's stopping me from doing that.
I understand, Tom. And I will do my best.
Good night, Mr. Finch.
Good night.
Can we go home now?
You two certainly don't mind very well.
What was it you said you did to Mr. Cunningham?
You made him stand in my shoes for a minute.
By the following Monday, Atticus told us, stay home. And for a while we did. People were streaming into town like it was a Saturday. Seemed like the whole county was there to see Tom Robinson's trial. When Jem, Dill, and I reached the courthouse square, we found it covered in picnic parties. Apparently the trial was to be a gala occasion. There was no room at the public hitching rail. Mules and wagons were parked under every available tree. People were washing down biscuits and syrup with warm milk from fruit jars. Some were gnawing on cold chicken, cold fried pork chops. In the far corner, the Negroes sat quietly dining on sardines and crackers in the sun. At some invisible signal, they all got up and went inside. We didn't want Atticus to see us, so we waited. But then there were no seats left, and Reverend Sykes came up and asked if we cared to sit in the colored side of the balcony. Jem said, gosh, yes, and we went in with him. By the time we got there, the trial had already started. The prosecutor, a Mr. Gilmer from Abbotsville, was taking testimony from Heck Tate.
In your own words, Mr. Tate.
Well, I was called.
Could you say it to the jury, Mr. Tate? Who called you?
Well, I was fetched by Bob Ewell yonder one night.
What night?
It was the night of November the 21st. I was getting ready to leave the office when Bob Ewell came in. Very excited he was. He said, come quick. Some Negro to attack his daughter.
Did you go?
Certainly I went. Got in my car, went off as fast as I could.
And what did you find?
I found Mayo lying on the floor. She was pretty well beamed up. So I heaved her to her feet and she washed her face in a bucket. She said she was okay.
Go on.
When I asked her who did this to her, she said it was Tom Robinson. When I asked her if it was him who had done this to her, she said yes, he had. Then, when I asked her if it was him who took advantage of her, she said yes, he did. So I went down to the Robinson's place, I picked him up, brought him back, and she identified him as the one. That's all there is to it, Miss.
Thank you, Mr. Tate.
Any questions, Atticus?
Yes. Did you call a doctor, Sheriff?
No, sir.
Why not?
It didn't seem necessary.
You didn't think that...
He's answered the question, Atticus.
Just wanted to make sure, Judge. Sheriff, you say she was mighty banged up. Just in what way would you describe her injuries, Heck?
Well, she got bruises coming on her arms, and she had a black eye starting.
Which eye?
Let's see. It was her left eye. Her left eye. That's it.
Her left. Looking the same way you were, or facing you?
Well, now that would make it her right eye. I remember now, Mr. Finch, it was her right eye. She was mighty banged up on that side of her face.
Would you please repeat what you just said?
Her right eye.
That's all, Heck. Mr. Robert Ewell.
Mr. Robert, do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, the whole truth, so help me God?
So help me God.
Mr. Robert Ewell,
That's my name, Captain.
are you the father of Mayella Ewell?
Well, if I ain't, can't do nothing about it now. Her mom's dead.
Ahem. Are you the father of Mayella Ewell?
Yes, sir.
Let's get this straight. There will be no audibly obscene speculations from anyone on any matter. Do you understand? Proceed, Mr. Gilmer.
Mr. Ewell, tell us what happened on the evening of November 21st.
Well, I was coming in from the woods with a load of kindling and, well, just as I got to the fence, I heard Mayella screaming like a stuck hog inside the house.
What time was it, Mr. Ewell?
Just for sundown, I reckon. Well, I was saying, Mayella was screaming like...
Ahem.
Yes, she was screaming.
She was raising this holy racket, so I dropped my load and run as fast as I could up to the window, and I seen that black Negro down yonder attacking my Mayella!
There has been a request that this courtroom be cleared of spectators, or at least of women and children. A request that, for the time being, will be denied. People generally see what they look for and hear what they listen for, and they have the right to make whatever decisions they feel are best for their children. You may feel there is something to be learned here, or you may not wish to face this problem. Either way, the decision is up to you. I suggest you make it now. I'm interrupting this trial for a 10-minute intermission.
All rise!
You may be seated. I see we have a few with us. Well, let's get on, shall we? Mr. Ewell, you will keep your testimony within the confines of Christian English usage, if that is possible. Do you understand? All right. Where were we? Did you see the defendants attacking your daughter?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ewell, you said you were at the window.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a clear view of the room?
Yes, sir, I did.
How did the room look?
Well, it looked all slung about like there was a fight.
What did you do when you saw the defendant?
Well, I run around the house to get in, but he ran out the front doors to head him. I saw who he was, but I was too distracted about Mayella to run after him. So I run in the house because Mayella was in that strong room.
Then
Well, I run for head tape quick as I could. I know who he was, all right. Passed by the house every day. Lived down yonder in that nest. Judge, I've asked this county for 15 years to clean out that nest down yonder. They're dangerous to live around. Besides, they're valuing my property.
Thank you, Mr. Ewell. Just a minute, sir. Could I ask you a question or two?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Ewell, folks are doing a lot of running that night. Let's see. You say you ran to the window, and then you ran inside the house. You ran to Mayella, and then you ran for Heck Tate. Did you, during all of this running, run for a doctor?
There wasn't no need to.
You didn't think the nature of your daughter's injuries warranted immediate medical attention?
I never called a doctor in my life. If I had, it would have cost me $5 whole. Got all the questions?
Not quite. Mr. Yu, you heard the sheriff's testimony, didn't you?
Yes.
Do you agree with his description of Mayella's injuries? That her right eye was black?
I hold with everything Tate said.
He said her right eye was black.
I hold with Tate.
Mr. Ewell, can you read and write?
Objection! Can't see what the witness's literacy has to do with the case. Irrelevant and immaterial.
Judge, if you will allow the question plus one more, you will soon see.
All right, but we better see, Atticus. Overruled.
Mr. Ewell, would you write your name and show us?
I most positively will. How do you think I sign my relief checks?
Clearly, now, so the jury can see you do it. It's so interesting.
He's left-handed.
That's it.
What's my being left-handed got to do with it? He's trying to take advantage of me. Tricky lawyers like Atticus Finch take advantage of me all the time with their tricking ways, but it don't change what I saw. And I'll say it again. I saw that Negro.
That is all, Mr. Ewell.
Mayella Violet Ewell.
Male Violet, do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God?
Yes. Mayella Violet Ewell. Where were you on the evening of November 21st? Where were you at dusk on that evening? On the porch. What were you doing on the porch?
Just tell us what happened. You can do that, can't you? What are you so scared of? What was that?
Him. Don't want him doing me like he done Papa. Making him out left-handed.
How old are you?
19 and a half.
Well, I see. Well, Mr. Finch has no idea of scaring you, and if he did, I'm here to stop him. Let's get on, shall we?
Well, I was on the porch, and you see there, Papa, there's this old shift rope Papa brought in to chop up for kindling. He told me to do it while he was off in the woods, but I wasn't feeling strong enough then. So he came by. Who is he? That yonder, Robinson.
Then what happened?
I said, come here, boy, and chop up this old shifter rope for me. I got a nickel for you. So I went in the house to get the nickel, and before I knew it, he was at me. He got me around the neck. I fought, but he hit again and again. And he took advantage of me.
Did you scream and fight back?
Kicked and hollered loud as I could.
Then what happened?
I don't remember too good, but Papa came in the room hollering, "Who done it?" And then I sort of fainted. And then next thing I knew, Mr. Tate was helping me over to the water bucket.
You fought Robinson as hard as you could, tooth and nail,
I positively did.
but he took advantage of you.
That's what I said.
That's all for now, but stay here. I expect big bad Mr. Finch has some questions for you.
Good. State will not prejudice witness against counsel for the defense.
Judge. Miss Mayella, I won't try to scare you for a while. Let's get acquainted first. How old are you?
Said I was 19. Said it to the judge yonder.
You'll have to excuse me, Miss Mayella. I can't remember well as I used to, so I may ask you things you've already said before, but you will give me an answer anyways, won't you? Good.
Won't answer a word long as you keep on mocking me.
Ma'am?
As long as you call me ma'am and say Miss Mayella.
That's just Mr. Finch's way. We've done business in this court before, and Mr. Finch is always courteous. Let's get on, shall we, and have the record show that the witness has not been sentenced.
How many sisters and brothers have you?
7.
And you're the oldest?
Yes.
How long has your mother been dead?
Don't know. Long time.
And how long did you go to school?
2 years, 3 years, I don't know.
Well, Miss Mayella, a 19-year-old girl must have friends. Who are your friends?
Friends.
Well, don't you know anyone near your age? Boys, girls, just ordinary friends.
You mocking me again, Mr. Finch.
Do you love your father, Miss Mayella?
Love him. What you mean?
Is he good to you? Is he easy to get along with?
He does terrible, except when I said he does terrible.
Except when he's drinking. When he's riled. Has he ever beaten you?
My paws never touched a hair on my head.
All right. Well, now to what happened. You say you asked Tom Robinson to come chop up, what was it?
A chiffaro, old dresser.
And was Tom Robinson well known to you?
Well, no. What do you mean?
Did you know who he was or where he lived?
I knew who he was. He passed by the house every day.
And when did you ask him to come chop up the chiffaro? Well, what happened? Miss Mayella, what did he do to you?
He attacked me. I already told you.
He hit you? He blackened your right eye with his left fist?
I ducked it. It glanced. That's what it did. I ducked it and it glanced off.
Well, you're a strong girl. Why didn't you run?
Tried to.
And you're screaming all the time?
I certainly was.
Well, then why didn't the other children hear you? Where were they? Why didn't your screams make them come running? You didn't scream until you saw your father in the window. Is that it? You didn't scream till then, did you? Did you scream at your father instead of Tom Robinson? Is that it? Miss Mayella, who beat you up? Tom Robinson or your father? Why don't you tell the truth, child? Didn't Bob Buell beat you up?
I've got something to say.
You want to tell us what happened?
I got something to say and then I ain't gonna say it no more. That black man yonder took advantage of me, and if you fine, fancy gentlemen don't want to do nothing about it, then you're all yellow, stinking cowards. Stinking cowards, a lot of you. Your fancy hairs don't come to nothing. You Mammon and Miss Mayella don't come to nothing, Mr. Finch.
Sir, the state rests.
Let's try to wrap up the afternoon, shall we? Atticus, any witnesses?
Yes,
Well, call them.
I call Tom Robinson.
Mr. Tom Robinson, do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, and the whole truth, so help me God?
I swear.
You are Tom Robinson, 25 years of age, married with 3 children, and you've been in trouble with the law once before. A 30-day sentence for disorderly conduct. What did that consist of?
Got in a fight with another man. He tried to cut me, but it wasn't much. Not enough to hurt.
And you were both convicted?
I had to serve because I couldn't pay the fine, but the other fellow paid his.
Tom, were you acquainted with Mayella Ewell?
Yeah, I had to pass the U place going to and from the field every day.
Whose field?
Worked for Mr. Link D's.
You passed the Ewell place to get to work. Is there any other way to go?
No, sir, none I know of.
Well, Tom, would she talk to you?
Yes, sir, she talked to me. I tipped my hat when I go by, and one day she asked me to come inside the fence and bust up the shiffer road.
When did she ask you to bust up the ship road?
It was way last spring. After I broke it, she said, I reckon I have to give you a nickel, won't I? And I said, no, ma'am, there ain't no charge. And then I went home. That was way over a year ago, Mr. Finch.
Did you ever go on the place again?
Yes, sir.
When?
Lots of times.
Under what circumstances? Why did you go on the place lots of times?
Seems like every time I passed by yonder, she had something for me to do. Chopping kindling, towing water for her.
And were you paid for your services?
No, sir, not after the first time. I was glad to do it. Mr. Ewell didn't seem like he helped me. Neither did the children, and I know she had no nickel to spare.
What about the children? Where were they?
There's always around all over the place.
Well, would she talk to you while you worked?
Yes, sir, she talked to me.
Tom, did you ever go on the Ewell place? Did you ever set foot on the Ewell property without an express invitation from one of them?
No, sir, I never did. I wouldn't do that, sir.
All right. Tom, would you please tell us what happened to you on the evening of November 21st?
Well, I was going home as usual that evening. Miss Mayella were on the porch like she said she would, and it was real quiet like, and I didn't know why. She called me inside the fence, and I looked for some kindling to work on, and she said, "No, I got something for you to do inside the house." She said, "The old door's off its hinges." I said, "You got a screwdriver, Miss Mayella?" She said she had. So we walked up the steps, and she motioned for me to come inside. Mr. Finch, I looked at that door. Those hinges was all right. I said, "Miss Mayella, these hinges is all right." Then she shut the door, Mr. Finch. I was wondering why I was so quiet like, and I realized I'm with a child in the place. I said, "Miss Mayella, where the children?" I said, "Where the children, Miss Mayella?" And she said, laughing sort of, she said they all gone to town to get ice creams. She said it took her a whole slap year to save them nickels, but she done it. They all gone to town. Well, I said, "Miss Mayella, that's right smart of you to treat them." She said, "You think so?" I don't think she understood what I meant. I meant it was smart of her to save like that, nice of her to treat her.
I understand. Please go on.
There was nothing I could do for her, and she said there was. Told me just get up to that chair and get that box down from the shiffer rope.
Not the same one you busted up?
No, sir, this shiffer rope was almost as tall as the room. So I done what she asked me, and I was just reaching, Mr. Finch, when she grabbed my legs. Scared me so bad I hopped off that chair and turned it over. Down a little ding, only piece of furniture stirred in that house before I left it. I swear to God.
What happened after you turned the chair over?
She jumped at me.
She jumped violently?
No, she hugged me. Hugged me around the waist.
And what did she say?
She said, "Hug me back." She said she'd never been with a grown man before, might as well start with me. I said, "Miss Mayella, let me out of here, let me go." She had her back to the door, and I didn't want to push her, I didn't want to harm her. I said, "Miss Mayella, let me go." As I was saying, Mr. Ewell done hollered something through the window.
What did he say?
Something not fitting for these folks to turn their ear.
Tom, you must tell the jury what he said.
He said, "You damn slut, I'll kill you."
And then what happened?
Mr. Finch, I was running so fast, I didn't know what happened.
Well, let's go back to Mr. Ewell. Who was he talking to?
He was looking and talking at Miss Mayella.
And then you ran.
I sure did.
Why did you run?
I was scared, sir.
Why were you scared?
Mr. Finch, if you was black like me, you'd be scared too.
You were given 30 days for disorderly conduct, right?
It was a misdemeanor and it's in the record, Judge.
Witness will answer though.
Yes, sir, I got 30 days.
You're pretty good at busting up shift rope and kindling with one hand, aren't you?
I reckon so.
Strong enough to choke the breath out of a woman?
I've never done that, sir.
But you're strong enough.
I reckon so, sir.
Now, you had your honor for a long time, hadn't you, boy?
No, sir, never looked at her.
And that was mighty polite to do all that chopping and hauling for her, weren't you?
I just tried to help out.
I was mighty generous. Tell me, boy, why were you so anxious to do that woman's chores?
Like nobody helped her none.
With Mr. Ewell and 7 children on the place, boy?
It says it looked like nobody helped her none.
I was mighty polite. Did all this from sheer goodness, boy?
Just tried to help out, sir.
I'm mighty generous. Did all this for not one penny?
It's all right, sorry, sir.
You felt sorry for her? You felt sorry for her? He felt sorry for her. Now, you went by the Ewell place as usual last November 21st. She asked you to come in and bust up the shipper road.
No, sir.
Do you know why you went by the Ewell place?
No, sir.
She says she asked you to come in and bust up the shift rope. Is that right?
No, sir, it ain't.
You saying she's lying?
I ain't saying she lying. I'm saying she mistaken in her mind.
Tell me, boy, why did you run away?
I was scared.
Why were you scared?
Like I said before, it ain't safe for a black man like me to be in a fix like that.
But you weren't in a fix. You testified you were resisting her advances. Were you scared she'd hurt you? Big fella like you?
I was scared I'd be in court just like I am now.
Scared you'd have to face up to what you did?
So scared that I have to face up to what I didn't do.
You sassing me, boy?
It didn't go to be.
What's the matter with him?
Might be a little bit heavy. You gotta take him out, Miss G.
I'm okay. Come on. He got you. Ain't you feeling good?
Said I was okay.
Want to see something? Look at these.
Two little statues carved out of silk. Boy and a girl.
They was in the knothole in the Radley tree.
Girl could be maybe the boy's gem. Who carved him?
They was in the Radley tree.
I think I'm beginning to understand why Blue Rabbit stayed shut up in the house. It's because he wants to stay inside.
That don't make any sense.
Yes, it does.
Well, maybe.
I think he found out why people can go out of their way to despise each other. Why did Mr. Gilmer have to do Tom that away?
Still, that's his job.
Wait, he didn't have to sneer and call him boy.
That's just Mr. Gilmer's way. They do all defendants that way. Well, most lawyers.
But Mr. Finch doesn't.
He's not an example, Dill. He's the same way he is in that courtroom as he is at home. Or on the street, even. Might be better if Atticus was a little...
Don't you realize your father's not run-the-mill man?
Well, most people...
What do you care about most people?
You're expecting a lot from a very young girl, Bill.
Maybe when you get grown, you see more of the world. This town, even.
I guess if you got over your crying fit, I could take you back in.
It just wasn't a crime fit, just another way you're gonna talk to Tom Robinson.
For an instant, Scout and I wrote this together. I expect there's a little of the older woman already in every young girl. But they're not in touch very often. We only seem to grow up at special times, such as the time I went back into the courthouse.
How was he?
The speech to the jury. How long he's been at it?
I don't know. Scout, I think we're gonna win. I don't see how we can.
With the court's permission, gentlemen, this case is not a difficult one. It requires no minute sifting of complicated facts. This case is as simple as black and white. The state has not produced one iota of evidence to prove that the crime Tom Robinson is accused with ever even took place. It has instead relied upon the testimony of two witnesses. Witnesses whose testimony has not only been called into serious question during cross-examination, but has been flatly contradicted by the defendant. Now I have nothing but pity in my heart for the chief witness of the state. But my pity does not extend to her putting a man's life at stake. And this is what she's done. In an effort to be rid of her guilt, and I say guilt because it was guilt which motivated her. She committed no crime, but she broke a rigid code of our society, a code so severe that those of us who break it are hounded from our midst as unfit to live with. She is the victim of cruel poverty and ignorance, but she knew full well the enormity of her offense, and she persisted in it. She persisted, and her subsequent reaction is something every child has done. She tried to put the evidence of her offense away.
that must be destroyed? Is Tom Robinson a human being? Tom Robinson, a daily reminder of what she did. But what did she do? She tempted a Negro. She's white, and she tempted a Negro. Not an old uncle, but a strong, young, black man. No code mattered to her before she broke it, but it all came crashing down on her afterwards. Her father saw what happened. And what did he do? There is circumstantial evidence to the effect that Mayella Ewell was beaten savagely by someone who led
Damn you to very lying bastard!
Shut your mouth or you'll be fined for contempt.
And then Mr. Ewell swore out a warrant, no doubt signing it with his left hand, and Tom Robinson now sits before you having taken the oath with the only good hand he possesses, his right.
You tricky liar!
And so, a quiet, respectable Negro man who had the unmitigated temerity to feel sorry for a white woman is on trial for his life. He has had to put his word against that of his two white accusers. And I need not remind you of their conduct here in court. Their cynical confidence that you gentlemen will go along with them on the assumption, the evil assumption, that all Negroes lie. That all Negroes are basically immoral. An assumption when associates with minds of their caliber. But you and I know the truth. And the truth is, some Negroes lie. And some Negro men are not to be trusted around women, black or white. And so is the same with some white men. This is a truth that applies to the entire human race and to no race in particular. In this year of grace, 1935, we are beginning to hear more and more reference to Thomas Jefferson's phrase about all men being created equal. But we know that not all men are created equal, in the sense that some men are smarter than others. Some have more opportunity because they're born with it. Some men make more money, and some ladies make better cakes. Some people are born gifted beyond the normal scope. But there is one way in which all men are created equal. There is one human institution that makes the pauper the equal of a Rockefeller, the stupid man the equal of an Einstein. This institution, gentlemen, is a court of law. In our courts, all men are created equal. Now, I'm no idealist to believe so firmly in the integrity of our courts. But a court is only as sound as its jury, and a jury is only as sound as the men who make it up. I'm confident that you gentlemen will review without passion the evidence you have heard, come to a decision, and restore this defendant to his family. In the name of God, do your duty.
Sorry, is it okay if I speak to Mr. Finch, please? It hasn't got anything to do with
Of course. do you want? Well, have you done your reading for Mrs. Dubose?
Not today, please, sir.
You go home, eat your supper, do your reading for Mrs. Dubose, and then Cal can bring you back.
Sir,
You've heard it all up to now, and may as well hear the rest.
suppose Jerry comes back for...
Well, they might.
Think they'll quit him that fast?
Might be out and then back in a minute. Go do your reading, eat your supper, and then Cal can bring you back. Thank you, Cal.
I ought to skin every one of you alive. The very idea of you guys seeing all that. Mr. Jim, don't you know any better than to bring your little sister to this trial? And as for you, Mr. Dill, you better be careful that your aunt doesn't ship you back to Meridian first thing in the morning. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
Cal worked over us until we got home. When Jem went over to read to Mr. Bose, she yelled at Dylan and I, and she was still upset when we made our way back into the courtroom, wondering what on earth we'd find.
Mr. Jim, I thought you was getting some kind of head on your shoulders.
Want to hear what happened?
Hush your mouth. If your dad don't wear you out when you get home, I will.
Drew's still out.
Nobody's moved hardly. How long have they been out?
All rise. The defendant will now rise.
The jury finds defendants guilty.
It's all lost? What do we do? We still do something.
The others don't matter. I don't see there's anything.
But it will hurt our ups, will they?
They can spit in his face and find Tom Robinson guilty, but no matter what any of them says, Atticus, he's...
Miss Jean Louise, stand up. Your father's passing.
When we spoke to Atticus later, Jem started to cry. He wanted to know how the jury could do it. I don't know how, Atticus said, but they did it. They've done it before, they did it today, and they will do it again, and when they do it, seems only children weep. As for Bob Buell, he walked out of that courtroom expecting to find himself the town hero. But it turned out only a few really believed him. Atticus had destroyed his last shred of credibility. All you got for his trouble was okay, we convicted the Negro, but now you get back to your dump. Yule started making terrible threats. This time we should have believed him. This time he was telling the truth.
Run ahead, scared of old Mr. Ewell.
Not one bit.
Why does he have to stand outside the courthouse talking to me? His side what?
But we don't want really, we can still do something.
Looks to me like the minute Mayella Ewell opened her mouth and screamed, Tom Robinson was a dead man.
Jen!
I'm absolutely surprised at you children. Did Atticus give you permission to go to court? Why were you sitting over there in the covered balcony? Were you right close over there?
Hush, Stephanie.
Well, do you think it was wise for the
Made
children
the
to...
town flung this way. They might as well learn to cope with it.
At least they don't have to wallow in it.
Look, what happened in court today missionary teeth, and you know it.
Well, excuse me. Don't suppose they understood anyways. Too bad you had to see your daddy get beat.
When I get grown, I think I'll be a clown.
What, Dill?
Yes, sir, a clown. Since there's not one thing I can do about people in this world, I will join circus and laugh my head off.
You got it backwards, Dill. Clowns are sad. It's people that laugh.
Well, I'm gonna be a new kind of clown. I'm gonna stand in the middle of the ring and laugh in their faces.
Look, don't pay attention to what she says about Atticus.
What do you mean?
I would simply like you to know that there are some men in this world who are born to do our unpleasant jobs, and I'm afraid your father's one of them.
Well,
Don't you oh well me, sir? You're not old enough to appreciate what I said.
I always thought Macon folks were the best folks in the world.
We're the safest folks in the world. God, we're so rarely called on to be Christians, but when we are, we've got men like Atticus to go for us.
Who feels that way besides you?
A handful of people in this town who say that fair play isn't marked white only.
But who? Who did one thing to help Tom Robinson?
His friends, for one thing, and people like us. We exist too. Think about it. People like Heck Tate, Judge Taylor. Come on, start using your head, Jen. Did it ever occur to you that Judge Taylor naming Atticus to defend Tom was no accident? Maybe he had his reasons.
She's right, Jem. Usually the court appoints some new lawyer. One has just started.
You're beginning to realize a little more to it than you thought. Whether Macon knows it or not, we are paying your father the highest tribute we can pay a man. We trust him to do right.
Then why did he get beat?
Miss Stephanie talks nonsense. Sure, maybe he didn't get an acquittal, but he did get something. I was waiting in court, and as I waited, I thought, you know what, Atticus Finch will not win. No, he can't win. But he is the only man in these parts who can keep a jury out so long in a case like this. And I thought to myself, take note of this time and this place. It is 1935, it's Macomb, Alabama, and we are making a step. Yes, just a baby step, but a step nonetheless. I'm going into my kitchen now, and I'm going to make a cake. I'd be pleased if you all come over later and have some of my cake.
Yes, Miss Maudie.
Thank you.
Mrs. Good.
Yes, I will, thank you, but I'll just stop over at Aunt Rachel's first. I'll be back. And then we'll all have cake.
Tom Robinson was taken to Enfield Prison, about 70 miles away. Atticus thought Tom had a good chance at an appeal, but Tom just couldn't hope anymore. His old employer made a job for Helen, but she had to walk past the Yule place and they shouted and chucked things at her. She was terrified until Heck Tate went out and made them desist. Then Yule's threats got worse. Partly he blamed Atticus, partly he blamed Judge Taylor, but the main focus of his sick frustration was Atticus. The only man in Macomb history to be fired from the WPA for laziness was Yule. Somehow he twisted that on Atticus too. Said Atticus had got his job. The way it looked to us, things were building to a blow-up. But Atticus just went about his business, working on the appeal. Then suddenly, death was among us. First it was Miss DuBose. Jim had gone over to do his reading for her when he had been stopped by Cal, who'd gone over to lend a hand. The doctors had told her that Miss DuBose had passed away. And Jem found out why he'd been reading to her. She'd been given morphine for her pain, and she'd become an addict. But she wanted to leave this world behold to nobody and nothing. Jem's reading was a distraction. It was a help.
That's why you said I had to read to her? Yes.
Her views on a lot of things were quite different from mine, but I wanted you
Well,
to...
hey there, Mr. Finch.
I wanted you to read to her because I wanted you to see what real courage is.
I got some good news, Finch.
Courage isn't a man with a knife in his hands, John. It's when you know you're late before you begin, but you begin anyways and you see it through no matter what. You rarely win, but sometimes you do. This is DuBose. I need him.
Don't you want to hear, Finch?
What is it, Heck?
Tom's dead.
Heck!
They put 17 bullet holes in him.
Cal, get the kids inside.
It was during their exercise period. He was running, and he started making a mad charge towards the fence.
Cal, get the kids inside. Didn't they try to stop him? Didn't they give him any warning?
They shouted and they shot a few shots into the air, but he was already halfway over the fence before they started shooting.
Ain't it just like them to cut and run?
Do you have anything more you would like to say, Mr. Buell?
Yes, I say there's one down and two to go. Now guess who's gonna be next?
I'd keep the shotgun loaded with double O.
He doesn't have a shotgun.
Can't believe Bobby will ever really come after me, but if he should, I'll deal with him.
I expect you would, Atticus.
Is Tom really shot up that much?
Well, there's talk, but I'm not sure. Take care of yourself.
Atticus, I'm worried about you. I think you should get a gun.
I told you twice to go inside. Now let's go in and be together. And remember, Jem, we've all heard enough about guns.
Atticus was underestimating what anger and sick frustration could do to an already unbalanced man. The night we found out there was a pageant at the school auditorium, Jem said he'd take me. It was to be our longest journey together. Wind was coming up, and Jem said it might be raining before we got back. Heavy clouds blacked out the moon, and there was a stillness that sometimes comes before a thunderstorm. We walked a few steps, then we stopped. We walked a few more and stopped again. Jem said he heard something. I thought he was trying to scare me, but that wasn't it. He held my hand tight and pulled me along fast. I thought I heard something too. Cut it out!
You're scared now because we're passing Boo Radley's place.
Not scared. Besides, he must not be home.
How can you tell?
If he was, there wouldn't be a bird singing in the rattly tree. Hear that, Mocker? Turn on your light again.
Something's wrong with you. Come on.
How do you know where we're at?
Tell her we're in the tree now because we're passing through a cool spot. Be careful.
Jem, are you afraid?
Can't be too far from the tree now.
Reckon we ought to see, Jem?
No, be real quiet, Scout.
Just the thunderstorm getting close.
No, not that. Listen.
I hear Jem!
Scout, run!
Jem! Somebody help! What was that? Who called? Oh my God, Jem! Jem, get him inside. Cal, telephone Dr. Reynolds, quick, tell him. Urgent! Scout, person. I'm here. Oh, I'm all right. The man's gone, but he did something awful to Jem. Atticus, is Jem dead?
No, honey, he's just unconscious. His arm is broken.
Jem's not dead, is he, Cal?
No, passed out from chains. Who would do this? Who would?
Call Heck Tate. Tell him someone has been after my children.
After 10 forevers, Dr. Reynolds finished with Jem. He said it looked like someone had tried to wring his arm off. And he said it would be a while before Jem could play football again. But he added his assurance that Jem wasn't dead, only under sedation. Meanwhile, Heck Tate had been investigating. And when he came back to our porch, there was something odd about him.
You find anything, Heck? I can't conceive anyone would do this.
Let's stay outside, Finch. Well, Bobby was lying yonder with a knife stuck up under his ribs. He's dead.
Dead? Are you sure?
Good and dead. He won't come after you or your children ever again.
But
It's that piss-drunk cunt with enough liquor in him to make him brave enough to kill children.
I thought he got it out of him the day he spat at me, and if he hadn't, I thought I would be the one to come after him.
Well, now you know better. So, he grabbed you and broke your brother's arm. Then what happened?
Someone came to help.
Who was it?
Well, there he is, Mr. Tate. He'll tell you his name. Hey, Boo.
His right name is Mr. Arthur. Boo is just a nickname. Jean Louise, this is Mr. Arthur Radley. Maybe you'd like to take him inside.
Like to come in, Mr. Boo?
I guess the thing that you had. Jem's a minor, of course. Come before county court.
Do you? What was it, Finch?
It
think Jim killed Bob Buell?
They were struggling in the dark. He probably got hold of
It
his
wasn't
knife.
Jim.
Jem, I know you're just saying that to be kind, but I will not have Jem grow up with a whisper about him. I won't. Hush.
Hush up what? Jim didn't do it.
Jem, I can't have my children say something different than what I know to be true. If I do that, I won't have them anymore.
Listen, Mr. Finch. You've been under a strain no man should have to go through, and I hate to fight you when you're like this. That's probably why you're not putting two and two together.
But if it wasn't
Of course
Jem,
it wasn't Jim. His arm was broken.
Well then,
And I'll have you put that thought out of your mind. I've told you what happened. Mr. Bob Buell killed himself.
But
Look, I'm saying this black man dead, and the white man responsible is dead too. So the dead bury the dead this time, Atticus.
I'm saying,
I told you what I said. And I've never heard tell that it's against the law for a man to do his utmost to stop a crime from being committed. And that is exactly what Mr. Boo Radley did. He stopped Bob Buell. And as sheriff, you may say that it is my responsibility to tell the whole town about this. You know what happened then, Mr. Finch? Every lady in all of Maycomb, including my wife, will be knocking on that door trying to bring him angel food cakes. Dragging a man like that with his shy ways out into the limelight, that's a sin, Atticus. Now I may not be much, but I am still the sheriff of this here county. And I tell you, Bob, you fell on his knife. Good night.
Scout, yes, Atticus? Bob Ewell fell on his knife. Can you possibly understand?
Sir, it looks to me like what Hecate
Miss
said.
Jean Louise,
Yes, Mr. Boo?
will you take me home?
Arthur. Thank you for my children, Arthur.
I remember the moon had come up, the storm had passed over, and I was being escorted by Boo Radley. He went inside and I never saw him again. But when I turned around, standing on his porch, I saw something else. A young girl and boy running to meet their father coming home from work. The boy going after Miss DeBose's camellias. The girl excited about surprises found in the knothole, and then a stormy night, and those children need him. Atticus, I was already beginning to stand in other people's shoes. The thing you wanted, Atticus. But did you ever know?
Atticus, it looks to me like what Heck said about dragging Boo into the limelight. Well, Heck was right.
How's that?
Well, it'd sort of be like killing a mockingbird, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yes, it would. Let's go ahead and sit with Jem.
Oh, and all those ideas we had about Boo Radley. But Atticus, he's really nice.
Most people are, Scout. You finally see them.
You did know.